Hello and welcome everybody to the Politics program for July 15th, 2024, live from Milwaukee, Wisconsin and the Republican National Convention. I'm Justin Robert Young. We are back in our little studio, the We're Not Wrong Coven that we have here, an Airbnb just outside of the Pfizer Forum area. And it is official. J.D. Vance is the vice presidential nominee alongside Donald John Trump. This was the sound.
It is a great honor to move that J.D. Vance be nominated by acclamation by this Republican National Convention as its candidate for the office of Vice President of the United States of America.
Without objection, the previous question is ordered. The question is on the motion that Senator J.D. Vance be nominated by acclamation. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye!
All those opposed signify by saying no. In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it, and the motion is adopted. Without objection, the motion to reconsider is laid upon the table.
So let's talk Vance first, and then we will get into my thoughts of the convention as I roamed the floor. J.D. Vance, on the positive side, is Donald Trump making the MAGA movement, at least in this move, not all about himself. Whenever we've had a conversation with Tom LoBianco on this show, whenever we've had a conversation with anybody else on this show about who Donald Trump's vice president was going to be, one of the biggest things was nobody that would outshine him. That's why Ben Carson made sense. That's why somebody like Doug Burgum, who I believed was going to be the guy, was the guy for me. Because Doug Burgum is not somebody that anybody would assume had more chapters that were more exciting than this one to write in their lives. Doug Burgum, already a very accomplished man, somebody who got rich by himself, brought a bunch of jobs back to his home state, then became governor of that home state, then ran for president. That man, and may he live 150 years, but if anything that happens past that is better than what he's had, then it's going to be pretty good. But we're not expecting it. Ben Carson, a famed surgeon, got his own legacy there. Now he's in politics. But J.D. Vance is 39 years old. J.D. Vance is younger than me. All right? This is a personal moment for your boy. As he reconciles with the idea that he covers politicians that are younger than him now. But there is no doubt, if we are assuming that Donald Trump is going to win this race, then that means, by our own edict, that all power is future power. Power from the past doesn't count. Then the day that Donald Trump gets elected, J.D. Vance is more powerful than him because it's more likely that J.D. Vance will win the next election. So, it does show a diversification. We have seen the coronation of Prince MAGA. We will watch him give his speech in a few days, but we have now seen the coronation of Prince MAGA. And it does put more pressure on J.D. Vance's speech. He was not on stage in 2020. He hated Donald Trump in 2016. That's going to be something you'll hear about a lot, that J.D. Vance used to be a never-Trumper. Mitt Romney hates that man. Mitt Romney hates J.D. Vance, and he hates him because he used to be a never-Trumper. Now he's not a never-Trumper. So It brings in Silicon Valley money. It brings in age. I think I mentioned this before. The last time the 39-year-old became the vice president of the United States was Richard Nixon back in 1952 with Dwight Eisenhower. There are some Eisenhower-Nixon kind of vibes going on here. Established legend brings along young up-and-comer. The difference, of course, is in 1952, Nixon was a placation method from Eisenhower to the Republican Party to say, hey, look, I'm not just an establishment guy. I'm going to take a Western Republican. You boys are wild out there, so I'll take one of yours. It's going to be Dick Nixon. He survives the money with the checker speech, and then all of a sudden they're off to the races. But talking about Nixon is a different time, different place. J.D. Vance is young. J.D. Vance has promise. He brings Silicon Valley money. Part of the behind-the-scenes issue with this was that Donald Trump wanted to see how many people that want to give him money wanted which person. The Marco Rubios, the Doug Burgums. J.D. Vance really doesn't have a lot of institutional money tied to him. He's got a lot of Silicon Valley money tied to him. So whenever you see Mike Solana, whenever you see Peter Thiel, who was kind of outside of the Trump orbit, you can imagine that he is going to be floating back. Well, that's why. It's because J.D. Vance is the connection point there. Elon Musk, somebody that endorsed Donald Trump the day that he was shot over the weekend. That element of money is going to be there. Will that transmit to policy? I don't know. You will get the sense that J.D. Vance, for the first time in American history, is on the side of the phone call that knows how to restart a modem. You know, when your dad calls you and says, hey, the internet's not working, and you know that you just need to unplug the modem and plug it back in again. J.D. Vance is the guy who does that, and not necessarily the guy who's making the call. So there's a little bit of a fresh face. Obviously, old versus new, youth versus age, big dynamics in this election, and now both vice presidential selections will be considerably younger than the people at the top of the ticket. Negatives. I had a conversation with a delegate when we were traipsing around. And I asked her, hey, who do you want to see? And she said, Trump. Trump's the only person I want to see. And I'm like, well, come on. Trump's easy, though. Like, who else? Anybody else? She's like, the vice president. Well, who do you think that's going to be? She's like, well, I have my own thoughts. I said, do you want to hear what the rumors are? Because I've been hearing rumors today. She goes, who? I say, Vance. She goes, I don't think that you can say the things that you said about Donald Trump and not actually believe them. So there's going to be a question, who is the real J.D. Vance? Now, J.D. Vance feels like he has very much answered these questions. He answered these questions during his race in 2022. He said when he was at Yale, he was in the Silicon Valley world. He had written Hillbilly Elegy, a best-selling memoir, also a movie directed by Ron Howard that got an Oscar nomination. That he believed a lot of things and said them publicly. He was lauded for them. But then things changed. And he says the things that changed were he got married. He had 3 kids. And he watched what Donald Trump was as president and not what he feared he would be. He says that he was politically activated by the fact that Donald Trump was attacked by the FBI and that he felt that he needed to run because of that. So, who are you? Who's the real J.D. Vance? Is it the guy who said the things, or is it the guy who didn't say the things. And is this a steady foundation to build an administration if you're Donald Trump? Obviously, he believes so. Politico reporting that the biggest things that influenced Donald Trump's opinion was, number one, Vance's instincts on the East Palestine train derailment. And number two, that he was unafraid to go on any television show and defend the president. Vance was also one of the first people to endorse Donald Trump again after he left office in 2020. So for Trump, he's like, look, I got a lot of people that have hated me at a various point. I care a little bit less about the people who hated me before they saw what I would do as president. I really, really, really don't like the people that gave up on me in 2020. And J.D. Vance did not give up on me. And so, in a close race, and we covered this, J.D. Vance barely beat out Josh Mandel in that Ohio primary. And the number one attack on him in that race was your fake MAGA, AstroTurfed. Now, Donald Trump Jr. loves him, and that's a big thing. Okay, another drawback. We don't know how he's going to react when the lights are really bright. So I've watched J.D. Vance debate tape. He's aight, but I don't believe that we have seen him at his best, which means we might never. How will a debate with him and Kamala Harris go? Well, Kamala Harris is very prosecutorial, and she is very measured in the way that she speaks. If you let her go too long, she has a tendency to get into, you might have fallen out of a coconut tree. The rumors are she's not a particularly fastidious preparer. And so we'll see. J.D. Vance is somebody that is combative in like a high school debate sort of way, but not like Ted Cruz terrible. More in the I won't let go of this point, and so I'm going to try to make you understand why I keep talking about it, if that makes sense. But I don't think that he is somebody that would trounce Kamala Harris at all. I think Doug Burgum would have. I think Doug Burgum is somebody that has a very firm control of actual boots on the ground facts in a way that J.D. Vance is a little bit more quote unquote intellectual. It's part of the reason why I thought Burgum was going to be the pick, because that is somebody that can work hand in glove with Donald Trump. But reports were that between Marco Rubio, Doug Burgum, and J.D. Vance, he got along with J.D. Vance the best. Now, are we hearing about that because J.D. Vance is the pick? Quite possibly, if not probably. Okay. The debate, not the debate, the RNC experience. Up early, 3:30 in the morning, on the plane. Connection in St. Louis, fly to Milwaukee, get here. This city is locked TF down, all right? It is very locked down. We were not able to get within 20 minutes of the hotel we had to go to so we could get our press stuff. We had to take our bags and walk them all the way down, which obviously security is high. It was going to be high no matter what. It is even higher now that Donald Trump was shot over the weekend. It just might be me, and maybe I have to go back and look at the floor plans of other conventions, but the setup of this convention has the stage, which I think looks amazing. Like, I think it's a really good looking stage. but it's very far into the center of the Fiserv Forum. Like, I almost feel like it would come out to about center court of the basketball arena. And so it doesn't leave a tremendous amount of space for seats. It just feels compact. Now, the bonus on that is that it's going to feel electric. And I will also say this. The vibes are high with Republicans. When I went to the Republican convention in 2016, the Democratic convention in 2016, they had both gone through big slogging primaries where a lot of people had a lot of bad blood. It's kind of kumbaya. The Republicans love them some Republicans. They are locked into Trump. I think there was one dude who screamed no because they had to change the rules on the J.D. Vance stuff because they wanted to make it a big exciting thing during the day to kick off the convention. But other than that, it's a good time. People are having a really they're having a blast. It's a little hot out, 97 degrees today, but it's going to chill down a little bit over the next 3. And we will be getting you much more audio and video from the convention. Just some technical stuff here today, but we'll get it. We'll get it for you throughout the rest of the week. The news. J.D. Vance is your vice presidential nominee. I'm Justin Robert Young. You're listening and watching Politics, Politics, Politics. Until next time, this is your old pal saying, some shows talk about politics, others talk about politics, and still more talk about politics, but this is the only one that dares discuss. Oh! 3.